We are live and in color. It's 10 o'clock. And so, anybody that's listening or will listen in the future, uh, this is a series that I'm starting up that I'm calling Brainstorming Forward. And I'm asking people that are innovators and in their thinking and in their work, and good people all around, to join me in thinking about, this era and what's working and what may be working and what's not working and all that kind of stuff, and kind of just not just help us navigate this era, but also thrive in it and actually come out the other end, however long it's going to take, ready for the net for things that we would never have been ready for before. So please welcome my guest, Mark Thress. Hey,
Thanks,
Mark.
Judy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, is a fellow vocal coach. He and I have been trading lessons together. Some of you guys may know about that. But he teaches me classical voice, and I'm working with him with contemporary voice, and we've been having a blast for a year now?
I know it's been
or over
while.
that.
Yeah, we've been having a good time.
All right, so to dig into it, what in your world has changed, and what are your thoughts, Mark?
Well, I think we're just living in a new world that we can't predict. As artists, we had so many expectations for how we can carry on with our career, right? If you do these series of things, you will have success. With the onset of social media and Spotify playlists and all that kind of stuff, we had some sort of guidelines that we could follow. Now we're in this weird leveled playing field where nobody is doing anything live, right? No one is interacting with their fans on a one-on-one basis. So we have this
doing it live, but not face to face. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we're in this really unique situation, and I think artists are feeling it really deeply in many different ways. So I'm so excited to have this conversation because I've experienced it myself, and the artists that I work with, they're going through a lot too. So I'm really happy to be able to put this forward.
It's actually reality. I think we all need to be dreaming with our feet on the ground.
Yeah.
So we need to be positive and definitely think forward, but not without facts at the base of it. And these days, facts are so malleable. It seems like we're hearing so many different things. I heard from an artist friend of mine yesterday. I don't know what to believe, about how long this is going to last. Well, I think we can all kind of plant our feet in science and try to find voices that are non-political, that are science-based, that are going to give us some facts and nobody can predict the future completely right now,
No.
but we can at least have some facts. It doesn't mean the music business is going to stop, but it does mean, I think, that our current model of making money, which is, a lot of artists really have depended on touring and merch because they've had to give away so much doing a record deal, and the records don't bring them all that much. And with streaming, is less coming in from radio and all that. So concert touring has been huge. And I think we need to think in terms of it being a year and a half to 2 years before that stream of income starts coming back in a big way, because not only, and here are the reasons, not only will we need vaccine and antiviral that really work on COVID-19, but also we need the public to be able to fully trust that they can get together in large numbers. There's always going to be some, but fully trust to, be in an amphitheater, So if we can think that way, then my thinking is, what if we were all to think, okay, we're not going to make massive amounts of money with this concert touring right now. What if you thought like planting an organic garden? And I've had an organic garden. Let me string this out, Mark, and then I want to hear from you.
No,
but I'm an organic gardener, and I used to have what they call a French intensive bed system, where you build the ground by planting cover crops and then plowing them under, and you organically you're adding minerals and all kinds of things, and that takes time for the ground to digest it. Then you're, having to put the boards around the beds, and you're having to lay down the plastic mulch and the wood chips on top of that, and that's before you even start to plant. Plant and plan for rotating crops and the whole bit. So it takes a heck of a lot of time and energy on the front end. How many artists out there are just throwing their project out on the internet, wishing it luck? So we have time now. Yes, we're going to have to get different day jobs as artists. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to make money. And a lot of people are going to need to move back home. That's okay. That's not a shame at all. And I think it's real important that people know that. And they're safe and they can protect each other and all that stuff. But whatever it takes, if you're armed with knowledge or with the thinking that it's going to take a long time for the music business to pay off in a big way with my new budding career or my established career even, then you're going to make different decisions to support yourself during that time instead of wishfully thinking, oh, they're going to start to open venues in a couple of months. What are you thinking, Mark?
No, it's so true, Judy. And you made a great point that, you may have to make some serious changes now and be comfortable with that. And just recognize that we're all in this together, right? Everybody is doing the exact same thing and facing the exact same circumstances. So I think it's important there's an analogy in business about drawing back the bow and arrow, right? The further you draw it back, the farther it's actually going to go. So during this time period, when you have the downtime to really recalibrate, I think it's what you talked about sowing that garden and figuring out what is it that I'm going to do with my free time? Who am I as an artist? How can I reconnect with the people that mean the most to me? The people that have maybe followed my music all this time, how can I really engage them during this time period? And with a really focused goal and knowledge of the future of what you're going to do as a musician, maybe not the steps that people are going to take in terms of the COVID crisis, but a knowledge of a game plan and executing that with an open mind, I think is really, really valuable. And now's the time to do it. We could turn around after this and come out with really amazing art and innovation, because I think, me personally, I feel we're a little naive to how things are going to get back to the way it was. The reality of it is, I think it's going to change a lot, and not in a way that's negative even necessarily. It's just going to change. And so I think as artists, we're used to that, but in a different way. And I think if we can wrap our mind around and think ahead, rather, we can really find a good solution for what's next.
Yeah. Yes. And so, and this is not to create some kind of, I know I've seen a lot of articles on the internet that go, just because you're not being productive, don't feel like you're being bad during this time and all that. Sometimes this time, you don't feel like you're under the gun to establish this incredible work of art immediately and all that. The muse doesn't work that way anyway, right? She doesn't like to be stared in the face. So
no, not at all.
You have to take time. And one of the things we can do as artists that we don't do is take better care of ourselves and learn how to do that. Because the body, mind, voice connection is so significant. You're going to create better songs, and all that if your mind is working better. And if your body's working better, your mind works better. So, digging into yoga for the first time for me, digging into new levels of learning about nutrition instead of just going on the road, attending all the parties and drinking like everybody else is, and dehydrating your vocal cords. And you're going to have a short career, and it's not going to be all that happy. It's going to be like there's going to be a lot of fear involved because you're always just this side of getting sick and all that. So digging into nutrition is something we can do right now. Digging into music business models and what the innovators are saying. is another thing you can do without having to create songs immediately. Get yourself a routine that may, like mine is, to try. I don't do this every day, but eat breakfast, exercise, do some meditation, have some time, and start the day that way. Then the rest of the day kind of falls into place better, and I make better decisions. And I really do. I'm a better teacher because my head's in a better place and my body feels good. Also, if you do happen to catch this bug, it's not going to hurt you to be in better shape. But back, so then the music business, the innovators, who would you say that we need to be following, Mark?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I think anybody that's active right now on Instagram or TikTok even, but I'll get to that in a second. But anybody who's active on Instagram doing some live concerts, they're really interesting to watch because you have some artists that are doing it all the time. And I think when you do a live concert every night, it doesn't become as special. And I think the people that are watching go, oh, so-and-so is on again, right? But there's some really great art being made, and people are really engaging in a new way. I'll transition to TikTok. I hope this doesn't derail our conversation, but
no, rabbit trails are us, so
yeah.
That's good.
So I've been fascinated with TikTok, and I'm late to the game. Obviously, it's for a lot.
I just got my first. I just signed up for it, and I'm scared of it. So tell me about TikTok.
Yeah, I'm afraid of it too, honestly. But probably steals all my information or something. Who knows? But
mine's TikTok, all out there anyway. So
yeah, right. TikTok is really unique because it's just all audio driven, right? Like every video that you're creating, obviously is a video with some sort of audio, but mainly music. So there's dances and there's challenges and all these sort of things. So a lot of artists, which is, I think, really valuable right now, are getting onto TikTok and realizing, hey, if I create a video that's a month old, that video can still go viral. And what does that mean for my content? Well, if I'm an artist that is producing a lot of different content, I can take snippets of that content or of that music, and I can put it on something like TikTok, which has an even more valuable white space for me to create and to share my content and information. So I've noticed a lot of artists that have now transitioned to TikTok, and they're starting music campaigns, and they're inviting people into their life in a really charming way. I think it can be, kitschy and sort of, stupid, really. It could just, people can be just doing dumb stuff on there for entertainment. But if you kind of turn the structure on its head and look at it as a valuable resource to gain attention or positive attention, you can invite people into your daily life, whether it's, I'm writing music in this particular way. This is how I'm starting my song. Hey, this is how I start my morning routine. There's a lot of girls on there that are saying, hey, I started working out, lost all this weight. Here's the food that I eat each day. Here's my diet or whatever. It's very similar to the way you would format things on maybe an Instagram live story, but it's more digestible because it's only 15 minutes to 60 minutes, or 15 seconds
15
rather.
seconds. Yeah.
60 seconds. And the cuts are quick, There's so many tips on there I've learned about like cooking and like finance and whatever from people that are actually
15 seconds. Woo,
yeah,
that's
are
a bite.
very
That's
exactly right. Exactly. So, and those people, obviously, I'm not going to take advice from somebody random, but those people are usually, really influential in their field. So I just think that if you're somebody that's creating music or interested in a music career, I think that's really valuable. Judy, you and I both talked about some resources that we look at for this kind of information. I know that one of the particular artists that I work with, Tess Claire, she just was fortunate enough to get on a live stream with Cara Diaguardi. Cara broke down some of her music and talked about the different things that she was doing on there, which was really cool. We're really happy for Tess, and Tess has done a lot of good work with that. And then she went on and kind of took that momentum and decided that she wanted to do various different concerts or, performances or something like that. And so one of the things that she did was a cocktail quarantine kind of event. And so it was really charming. And she brought, a handful of people, friends and family and people that watch her music to Instagram. And they shared, drinks and cocktails and whatever. And it's just another way to engage with your audience. So the bottom line.
What is her name again? Because I want to put that in the crawler here. What is it?
Tess Claire, Tess Claire, Clare, I believe. Tess, if you're watching, I apologize if I got this wrong.
Okay. We think. Okay. All right. There we go. That is who we're talking about.
I think it's Clare, no I in there, but it's
Oh, Clare. Okay. Claire. Let me redo that. And I have the magic of technology here.
There you go.
Okay.
But anyway, so back to what you were talking about. Yeah, it's important to reach out and find new ways to spread your why and what you have to say in the world, you know, as an artist.
Yeah. I want to recommend someone too, and then what she's doing in this crazy time, and that's Jenny Tolman. She's doing this thing called the Quarantine Kitchen, and to show you how once you start doing something like that, you never know where it's going to go. And so there's a TV station, at least one, if not more, that picked it up and liked it so much they had her come on live and do a segment of Jenny's Quarantine Kitchen. So let me put her name in there, and that is Jenny Tolman. And besides that, she's an incredible artist and got a lot of stuff going on. Jenny Tolman. How do you spell quarantine? We should all know how to spell quarantine by now, but every time I look at that word, I have to rethink it. Another couple of resources that I'm familiar with that I really, really love. There are two magazines. Both Mark and I are both on these magazines because I think it's so important to stay connected with our ear to the ground to innovators and people in industry, and even those in high music label people that kind of see it from the stratosphere. There, we can. Whether you're a big artist already or you're a new artist coming up, you can get ideas from that. If you can kind of see which way the wind's blowing and see what people are thinking, I think it's so important because there are going to be new business models. There have to be. And guess what? The old business models weren't working so well for a lot of people. There were so many bells and whistles, and it takes so much money to tour that you had to, make so much more money, and maybe you had to make some sacrifices in what you really wanted to do with your music because you had to please too many people, or too many people were getting in on telling you what to do and all that. Well, with less bells and whistles and with less, we're not going after the major touring and having all those expenses. We can be more strategic and more true to our own artistic calling. I watched the Grand Ole Opry the other day and was amazed at how good. I'm sorry, Blake, but I had no idea your voice was that good. That's because it's always been so many bells and whistles around his voice, big band situations and all that. But when he's just alone in his little studio doing an Opry segment on his guitar, wow, there's a reason Blake Shelton's Blake Shelton. Who knew? I didn't. So anyway, back to, that was a rabbit trail, sorry. Back to the resource. Let me put one in here. Nashville, what is it called? Nashville
Briefing Magazine.
Nashville
Briefing Magazine. Fantastic. I love getting all the updates.
Absolutely. And if you'll just Google that, it is NashvilleBriefing.com. There you go. And it's an awesome magazine, and they have lots of links. You can go on rabbit trails for days. Ask me how I know, by reading one of their publications. But there's lots of things we can learn. All right, so there's the Nashville Briefing magazine, and the Financial Briefing magazine called Morning Brew. That's another one that you can go on rabbit trails for days. But it's tell them about that, Mark, because I know you're really into that one too.
Well, you got that. You got me hooked on that, actually. I love it. It's really witty, and it comes every morning. It just talks about the different markets, travel information, the economy, but it's really digestible content. Usually I'm the type of person that I don't like to just read these articles, but they make it really charming and witty. Like I'm looking at it now, they're talking about healthcare, and it's relatable. It's not just, what are these people trying to do with the healthcare? It's what are the changes and how do they affect your life? And so again, like we were talking about before, if you have the time sitting around and you're making positive changes in your life, knowing this information can be really informative for the next couple months.
Yeah. And so let me put that one in here. I was dealing with a technical issue there for a second. It's called Morning Brew. And it's hilarious too. Oh my gosh. I mean, who knew that a financial magazine could make you laugh?
I know,
but
right?
that's another, gives you clues about what we can do that we haven't done. Like look around, everybody, look around your room. What is superfluous now? What is not working? What is useless?
So true.
In my office, anybody of you guys that have been into my office know it's a big, big room. And we've changed, my husband and I have changed it into a dual office and given our son my husband's office. But he's back there behind that curtain. But this way, my keyboard is closer to me, if you can see that. And I'm going to have dual monitors so that I can see my students a little bit closer to me when, and Mark's been making all kinds of innovative things too, but I've completely, like my podcast mic is over here attached to my desk and everything's kind of right in here because I don't have anybody coming in to the middle of my room. They're in the middle of their own rooms right now. What have you done differently, Mark?
Well, first of all, Judy, you're like kind of the tech guru over here. I mean, you impress me all the time. Judy and I meet probably on average, I would say once a week, pretty consistently on Friday. Yeah. And every Friday you have something new to tell me about technology or something. You blow my mind with all this new information. It's kind of crazy. I feel like I'm the one that's supposed to be telling you things that I find, but no, you're usually the one that helps me out. So,
you're too kind. No, you're a tech guru.
But no, I've done the same thing. I walk around my place and, I'm looking at my desk right now and I planted some succulents. Who would have thought that I would have put succulents on my desk, But I looked around my room and my place and I just thought, there's things that I've neglected over this time period. Do they really need to be there? My desk was always so cluttered with stuff. And I just started, erasing things that, like you said, were superfluous from my life. And it's been really refreshing. It's been great. And you mentioned a comment in our last conversation about, what is your environment doing for you? Is it working for you? And I think that's a really wonderful thing to recognize right now. There's a lot of things in my bedroom even that I was looking around and saying, wow, there's a bag of donated clothes that I should have gotten rid of a long time ago. I need to get rid of this now,
Mm-hmm.
all these silly things that you don't think about when you're so busy. But now that you have the time to settle down, it's like, okay, is this really the best free flowing environment for my creativity? Right. You and I talked about, I've been working on the OBS software for streaming. And I got a new phone and I have another phone that I've been working with too. So now I started setting up multiple cameras for different musical experiences, whether I'm teaching or recording a video or something like that here too, which is really fun. And I should have done that a long time ago because I had the opportunity to and never did. So it's just, it's really valuable for us to take the time to do that and figure that out.
And it just goes into how we create music too, because I don't know about you, but if things are too cluttered or out of place and I can't find stuff or useless, it just, what my mind says is that I'm not safe and that I'm not through with my homework and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but my muse likes to have everything settled down and focused, get a candle and not have, so if all that stuff can be more in place, it helps me write. I'm gonna
go ahead.
Huh? Go ahead. I was going to put in the crawler, I'm going to put a couple of podcasts that Mark, you and I have talked about to follow to try to stay in touch with the innovators and the forward thinkers in our industry. And one is called the Business of Music podcast. And the other one is called Music Business. I'm writing as we speak. So if I'm misspelling it, excuse me. But Music Business Radio. And those two podcasts are really good. If you guys that are watching us, if you've got any really good innovators that you'd like for us to follow, just mention it.
Judy,
and we'll share that.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a comment on what you said about the muse. I've been doing a lot more reading recently, which has been really great for me because I don't consider myself a reader. I love reading. I just never had the time to do it, and now I am.
Yeah.
But something that I was reading from these leaders that were talking about the way that they structure their creative environment. I think it's interesting when you talk about, your creative muse and wanting everything in your environment to be settled down so that you can really focus in and allow all of it to come out. And I think that is so important. I want to bring up something though that I think is a challenge that we face now in this COVID era. When we have a routine, or when we had a routine rather, we knew that we would get up, we'd have these songwriting sessions from this period of time. We might go to the gym at a particular period of time, then, go get coffee and whatever, then go out to dinner or so on and so forth, or have an event, a concert. We had a routine and a schedule that we could predict or anticipate. Yeah. It feels really weird. It's very odd for us to be able to sit down in our home and say, well, I'm going to get up and start working today, So I think it takes a really strong mentality to be able to do that. But I want to bring up the conversation as to how do we approach our creativity in an unstructured environment. As you and I both know, with being highly creative, if we have a lack of schedule, we want to do everything. There's so many different tasks that we want to get involved in. Oftentimes we don't focus in that creative aspect for creating music or writing songs, so on and so forth. So what I found to be really valuable is quieting that space, but giving yourself a time every day to just be. And if something creative comes out of that, fantastic. If nothing creative comes out of that and your body takes you to reading a book or watching a TV show or something, that's fine. But I think it's really valuable for us during this time to schedule out maybe just an hour and to see what happens. And one of the books that I was reading was talking about that and saying how, they asked this woman, hey, when does your creative muse come about? How do you access it? And she said 9 a.m. every morning. And it's because she gave herself that 9 a.m. time to sit down at her desk and see what happened. And most of the time, something did happen, So I think that's really valuable when there aren't any guidelines right now. How do you manage that?
Right. And here's the thing. We can brainstorm not only writing our songs and our artistic definition and all that stuff, but creativity jumps sometimes.
Yes, it does.
So perhaps we've never done voiceover work. Perhaps we have good voice for voiceover. You know what? There's a ton of voiceover work going on right now. Perhaps we want to do some acting. And the SAG people are trying to, people in California and other places, including Nashville, that have the Screen Actors Guild active and all that. They're trying to figure out the safety rules for getting back, the broadcast getting back, but they're going to. Perhaps you would love to paint or sculpt or do some clay or something like that. I find that creativity actually builds creativity. So if you might, in your quiet time, think way outside your ballpark. And then you might come up with a business model that works that nobody else has. Or you might become a great artist and a successful artist in another medium. But just keep thinking outside your comfort zone. I don't like the to say the cliche out of the box, but that's what we're talking about. But you really need to do that. All right. The other thing that we talked about when we were brainstorming our brainstorming session here, Mark, yesterday, was how we need to stay in touch with the currency for the music business, which is the fan base. When I was an artist, I didn't have to do this. I was at the tail end of just have some, great songs and find someone in the industry who really believes in you and they can get behind you. And Tommy West did that for me with MTM Records. It doesn't happen that way anymore. There's too much competition. But the good thing is, after I was an artist, the label and we built a fan base. But now the fan base needs to come first. So my suggestion is don't neglect your fan base, even though you're not out there, connecting with them one-on-one where they can buy your CDs and your T-shirts. We have got to become valuable to our fan base. It takes a village, and we have to create a village. That I like the idea of being a linchpin, or Seth Godin's idea of being a linchpin, or the head of your tribe, which is your fan base. So how do you do that? And Mark, we talked about some ways we do that.
Yeah, Judy, you brought up something really wonderful when we spoke about this. Testing out music. I think that is one of the things. I have some artist friends that started doing that recently, and I think it's a really, really great opportunity to engage with the people that are listening to your music. Putting out a song and saying, "Hey, I'm just toying around with this song. What do you think?" And for somebody that's consuming your music, that is one of the most exciting things. I mean, it's new, it's fresh, and people that are at home want to see that. We're looking for, I'm including myself on this. We are looking for something to entertain us, to keep us going. And as an artist, I think that's really important. Engaging with your fans in unique ways, and we all know that. And I want to bring this up a little bit later too, but how do you keep that energy alive, right? We all know that social media is a great way of doing that, but there's been this protocol that we followed that I think has gotten a little, it's made us a little numb to all of those things, like the like and follow and the whatever. It's about going down to that authenticity,
The A word, authenticity. Yep.
Figuring out who you are as an artist and how you're relating that to your fans and the people that are listening to your music. But I think testing out new music is fantastic, and just getting the feedback from the people that are listening. It's going to better you, and it's going to get even more, magnetized fans to your music.
Yeah, and not just asking them, do you like this, do you not like this? But, there's SurveyMonkey has, different ways that you can have some of those surveys. Like, what did you like about it? Why did you like it? Was it the music or the lyrics? Do you think they went together? Would you like to see a different instrument? Or would you like to see an instrument on the final version? What would that be? What genre do you think this is in? And those kinds of questions, out of the box thinking. Because you know what? Everybody's got an opinion, and everybody likes to share them.
Yeah, it's true.
But when you ask like that, what you're saying is, I see you, and I value your opinion. All right? What's wrong with that? And if we don't, we probably need to get in another line of business. We need to find out how our fans are doing. Ask them, not just how are you doing, but ask in such a way that they know that you actually care how they're doing. That girl, Jenny Tolman, that artist that I work with, she started this thing called the Jenny Joy Jar, and she would have everybody put what they're grateful for today, and then she would put them all in a drawing thing, and then she'd draw one out, and whoever it was, she would do the cover song of their choice.
That's really that's fantastic.
Yeah, so just things like that, but it does take a village, and our currency is our fan base, but it's also if you know, at the end of the day, when this is all done, if we can hold on to the fans that we have, and then
Mm.
maybe build outwards from there, but at least hold on to the fans that we have, they are going to be more loyal to us and more likely to support our music and what we're doing, and more likely to want to actually hear a song. So however you can do it, you know, and provide value, provide real value. It's not a sales tool, it's a connection tool,
Hmm.
right?
I think it's interesting because if you're an artist and you're coming off of all these performances where you get to see uh, your fans one on one, face to face, and you're hearing them cheer for you, and you're watching them get
Yeah,
excited about your music, and then now, you have to sing to this webcam or something like that.
yeah.
That that is totally different. And it might be, from a fan's perspective, yeah, you might be still absorbing the music, and maybe you're getting some of that energy. Obviously, it's not in the big space, but for a creative, I can easily see how that would start to be kind of depressing, honestly.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Judy, you and I both discussed how do we navigate, how do we negotiate this feeling of self-judgment now that things have stopped, and now that we're performing to a phone or a webcam without that direct feedback. As artists, you talk about this all the time, Judy, and I love this analogy. We kind of have extra feelers, we're really susceptible to all of the changes in the energy, right? And
Mhm.
when that environment shifts, it's important for us to recognize it. And I think in recognizing it, we can protect ourselves from those feelings because we're going to be so outward in that sense. So, Judy, I think maybe you can answer this, but what kind of stuff can we do, or how can we change or alter our mentality to ease ourselves of that self judgment?
Well, I think there's the balance that we hit on a little bit yesterday, Mark, that we were talking about that balance, because artists do have those feelers, and that little inner child in us that's so creative also keeps asking, did you like that? It's
Yeah.
just part of our DNA. It's part of our DNA. Did you like that? And
Yeah.
so but if we become totally focused on did you like that, and trying to please who we think is our fan base, we're going to start to feel resentful and empty.
Hmm.
There has to be a balance to that, which is okay. I know, let me know what you want, but inner self, let me know what you want. Like, what do I need to express in my lyric? What do I need to express with my music? What creates those endorphins in my brain as I create this art? Because it's got to start there. And there's an old I don't know how old it is, but an wisdom sort of saying, as far as business goes, when you're trying to figure out what career you should be in, that the one that's right for you is going to be where your passion meets the world's needs.
Mm.
The
I like
world's needs. So what we can do is we can create that which is inside us and which needs to come out. What do we need to say? But then we can sort of shape it a little bit in our production values, or maybe in a different verbiage here and there on a line or something like that, and to fit a commercial source, or a commercial pond that are
that.
looking for that a particular kind of music. We can, in other words, we can customize kind of what we're doing to fit the market. But if we totally just ask ourselves, what does the market want? I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, and I think that the muse is not going to be happy. Our soul, even if we have hits, we're not going to be happy because it's not really who we are. So that's another way that we can dig into that kind of thing in this time before things break open again, and we can get back into heading for the amphitheaters that we want to be in.
I love that. That's great advice.
Um, so There's a couple of things I wanted to mention. I want to mention another artist who's doing some really great stuff. He's an older artist that has absolutely reinvented himself. He actually moved to Texas. So Nashville's not the place for everybody. You know, it's not the center of the universe, even though I feel like it is because we're here and all this incredible stuff is around us. Perhaps you need to move someplace because you can do it from anywhere now. And in fact, maybe you've had to move someplace. Well, now with the online, the way it is, that's not a negative whatsoever, you know? So anyway, this guy's name is Randy C. Moore. And this trop rock station has gotten behind him. And if you look him up, you'll see that all of a sudden he's doing these great quality concerts with some really great teasers, trailers for the concerts, and they are paying concerts. And so he's really gaining some ground and creating great work. He looks like he's feeling great. I think he's just found his thing. And so when he starts to get back out there, he was doing some international work too.
Wow.
And I think that's going to be so available to him when things kind of move around. But you also are teaching people that your work is worth paying for, right?
I think that's really important too, Judy. And I'll ask you this question because I'm not sure I have a great answer for it. I do have an answer for it. But at what point do you start charging for these performances? And at what point do you separate this is a free for my fans engagement moment or video? And when do you start charging?
Oh, that's one of those questions that will remain a question mark. I think that, like thinking like a business person, which you have to do when you're thinking about charging for services, I think you have to ask yourself, how valuable is what I'm doing? What quality is what I'm doing for a fan base that would make them want to pay for it? Because if you start trying to charge too soon, then when you do start, to have enough quality stuff to charge, it's like you're crying wolf, I think. So do a few work tapes if you're a brand new person and all that, get some feedback, build your fan base, which you have to do by really be on the giving end. And then and maybe perhaps like find a situation where you can be mic'd or you can be, have a better quality sound to it and put some stardust on it some way, like with banners or with a backdrop or something like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, if anybody's taking a look at Randy's content, Randy's videos are just like top of the line. He has several cameras. The production value is just incredible. So
Yeah.
I really think that level really proves its worth. I mean, you should expect that, and that's an easy take. But I agree. There's things like Patreon, right, which would be specially curated videos and content for people that are going to pay you a premium. But I think that's the business aspect that you have to look at. If you're creating content and you're looking at Facebook Live or you're looking at Instagram Live, most people that are on there are just going about their day, maybe looking at some stuff. But if it's a special moment and you've publicized it for a while, yeah, maybe that's the time that you can start asking for some tips, or maybe you can hold a particular special. Actually, a good idea would be if you have some music that you're working on, you can have a special evening where people can spend $10 to hear music you've never performed before, and have an open workshop, a Q&A and stuff like that. I might even take that own idea of myself. But but that's I think that's really valuable because you're saying to them, hey, listen, I'm dedicating my work time to you guys, but it's valuable just like it would be valuable when I'm out performing, doing the thing that I would typically do, or where you would come to see me typically perform. But you're right about production value. It has to be different than simply creating a little phone video and say, okay, now pay me $10 to see my content.
Yeah, and here's another thing you can ask yourself. what do I want to get from this as a business person? There's a thing in business that it's kind of a three-word thing. Then you have to create the know, like, and trust factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like and trust factor when you're selling anything, and that
Yeah.
goes for music as well. If somebody knows me, and then learns that they like me, and then learns that they can trust me to come out with information or something that is of value to them. That's what I mean by trust. You can trust that if they click on something to watch something I'm doing or follow something or buy a product or anything like that, that they're going to get value from it, that they can trust that. So back to what you're asking about when we're talking about charging. I think it's like plan it out on the front end. In the first place, realize the internet, as valuable as it is not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to treat it like the potentially dangerous thing it is, and only put on the internet if you are going out for a commercial music career, which is about business as well as about art. But if you're going thinking business, then anything you put on the internet should have some kind of value to somebody, either your fans or the industry that you want to view that. So have that in mind. So ask yourself before you put something online or you have an event, what do you want? What do you want to achieve with it? Do you want to build your fan base? Maybe you'll do that for free. Do you want to get some feedback on your songs? Maybe you'll do that for free. Maybe you'll ask for a tip jar or something like that. Or do you actually not want to make money? Because we're not making a bunch of money, but do you want to grow the understanding that your music is worth paying for?
Yes.
Then maybe you'll start charging a little bit. And then the last thing is, do you really want to make some money? And I think that the new business models are going to show us how we can do that even before we get back to the big live concert gigs in venues. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Judy. And I think it's going to be a little while before we get back there. It's important that we start tuning into that. I love the comment you made about reinstilling the fact that, my music is something that I've been performing out for public. It has value to it. And so the $10, like you said, you're not going to get rich off of a tip jar, but mm-hmm. it's leveling up your content so that it's valuable to the people that are wanting to consume it. And you're instilling that trust factor, like, hey, listen, these people know you, they like the content that you're producing, and they're trusting that you're providing them with unique information or unique content. And I think mm-hmm. that's a valuable thing. Mm-hmm. We underestimate how long this might take. I really think, and I know a good friend of mine, Judy, and I, we've talked about this. He was just telling me that a lot of the major touring acts are not going to start until 2021. So that's a long time.
2021, people. Yeah.
2021. And that's a fact.
Possibly 22. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, exactly. And so what does that mean for us? If you give everything away for free and then all of a sudden you start charging people for tickets, they're going to say, well, what is it? I've been listening to their free content for a while now. I know all their music, whatever. So I think there's a lot of positive value in that.
Yeah. All right, Mark, we're coming up to the end here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And for anybody that listens to this afterwards, I hope you find some value in it. Let me know what you would like to know. And I'd like to continue this brainstorming forward. But Mark is my constant companion in brainstorming, and he's one of the brains I love to bounce my balls against the wall of. If that's totally not correct English, but you know what I mean. So please, if you want to get in touch with either one of us, we're both teaching online. And yeah. So there's that. And we're also available as part of your village. So Mark, where would you like to give them, where would you like them to go to find you? I know you can always find him on Facebook.
Yeah, feel free to message me on Facebook. It's just Mark Thress Music. And then you can also find me at my website. It's just marktress.com. marktress.com. Yeah.
Yes, and he will forgive you if you say Thress, because I did it for about 6 months before he finally corrected me. It's Thress, but Thress will work.
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
No, I was just going to say a lot of the work that I've been doing recently has been artists texting me and say, "Hey, do you like this new song that I wrote, or what should I do about this particular content?" So a lot of the conversation that I'm sure you've been having too is like, how do we work together to figure out this new era? And so I'd be happy to listen to anybody's questions and see if I can help you out on that.
Yes, and so let us know what you guys need out there, and like I say, hit us up anytime, anywhere. We're both on all these social networking, so look for our names if you want to connect with us there. I guess I'm going to have to go to TikTok now.
At least to consume some of the content. You can curate your page so that you don't see all of the other nonsense. But Judy, I think I'll have to show it to you from a distance, rather. But I think you find some of it very, very intriguing.
Okay, I will. We'll be talking, Mark.
Yeah.
All right, you guys take care. Stay safe out there and make some music.
Great. Thanks so much, Judy. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Mark, for being with me. Bye.
Take care.